I hereby call the regular Brockton School Committee to order, it being Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. It is actually about 6:15 p.m. We are at the George M. Little Theater, George M. Romm Little Theater here at Brockton High, 474 East Ave, Brockton, Mass. 02301. I just need to read into the record the following. Welcome to the meeting of the Brockton School Committee. This is the agenda that will be discussed this evening. Please note the hearing of visitors is included. I do have the sign-in sheet. If you have a statement or question, please give your name to the secretary, Mrs. Campbell, and we have that. In addition to attending, the public can view this meeting via television on Comcast Channel 8 and also the 1071 HD version and online the following link, which is www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. At this time, I would ask us to please stand and salute the American flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the school committee, as chair, I'm going to work with all of you. We have to get a new flag. That looks terrible. So we will have a new flag for the next meeting, which will be a special next week. At this time, I need to establish a quorum. Mr. Sullivan? Here. Mr. Gomes? Here. Mr. Vega? Here. Ms. Oliver?
Here.
Vice Chair Rodriguez? Here. Ms. Azak?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
I am here as well. We're also joined by the interim superintendent, Dr. Priya Tahiliani. This is her first official regular school committee meeting, so again, we welcome you. And you'll be hearing from her on Agenda 3, Report of the Superintendent of Schools. This time, hearing of visitors, I need to read into the record, pursuant to school committee policy, each person requesting to speak should be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes. Since this period is limited to 15 minutes, a total of 5 people should be permitted to speak on a first-come, first-served basis. We only had one individual sign in at this time. If Katie Sanford could please come to the podium. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm Katie. I'm here on behalf of the Brockton High Band Boosters. Normally, I would ask kids to come speak to you, but you may have noticed that they were on the field when you got here. They've been there for 9 hours. They're there for 9 hours every day this week. Practicing getting the new halftime show ready. So the boosters are a group of parents, grandparents, alumni parents, guardians who do all the fundraising for the kids' travel, for their snacks, scholarships, whatever they need to do what they do. So we're really excited for our season, and we wanted to invite you to join us on Friday at 5 to 5:30 up at the stadium. The kids are going to put on their new halftime show. And come and cheer on the kids who cheer on the rest of the city all year long. I'll be quick. I just want to read you an email that we got last season. We get things like this all the time. I'm a parent of a Lincoln Sudbury student, and I wanted to let you know how impressed we were with the BHS band students and fans at our football game. At halftime, the local kindergarten flag football team came out to play on the field. While all of the Lincoln Sudbury students and most of the fans on the home side were not paying attention, the entire visitor section was cheering wildly for all the little kids at every play, especially the band and the students. It was so nice to see the enthusiasm and cheering they gave the local kids. I just want to let you know you should be proud of them. We are so proud of them. They are a true representation of what Brocktonians do. They go out into the world and people receive us like that. We get comments like that all the time. So you should be very proud of them for how they handle themselves, how they present themselves, and how they win everywhere they go. Our favorite moment this year was during one of their competitions, a fire alarm went off. During their performance, they went and stood in the cold, came back in, performed it again, and won a gold medal at the MICA conference. So these kids are awesome, so please come out and support them on Friday. Khalil's Kitchen and That's So Cool Shave Ice food trucks are going to be out there, and we're just going to have a good time. Dr. Tahiliani, I'm so excited for you to get to experience our kids for the first time. Thank you, everybody.
So again, this coming Friday, 5 to 5:30 at Marciano is the invitation. So
Now we all have to go feed our hungry.
yes, you do. Thank you again. At this time, we will go to Agenda 3, which is Report of Superintendent of Schools.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
is that meeting open to the public Friday?
Oh, sorry, yes, it's open to the whole community. It's free. Anyone can come join us.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
Do you say that into the
this coming Friday night. Go ahead, Mr. Sullivan.
I was just going to say, it's open to the public and it's free this Friday from 5 to 5:30.
Marciano Stadium.
Come well, come often.
At this time, again, we'll go to the report of the Superintendent of Schools, Agenda 3. Good evening.
Thank you. So we're going to start with item number A. We have a few recognitions this evening for some educators at South Middle School who planned and coordinated an amazing gala. They are Mr. Joseph Arsenault, Miss Amanda Gomez, and Mr. James Stapleton.
Good evening, everyone. You guys can come next to me. For those that does not know about the Hall of Fame gala and also all the fundraise, this amazing group of educators put every year for South Middle School. It was an honor and also a privilege to basically be part of the organization and organize the gala this year. Even though this is the second year my child's been at South Middle School, I did not know about it. It was also exciting to basically walk the hallway and see all the Hall of Famers that's up on the frame. All three of you did an incredible job. The dedication that you three put in and also all those that volunteer for the gala was amazing. The fact that all the money goes to a South Middle School, which is in need. I think the principal was here. Hello, Ms. Thomas. Thank you also for your great job that you do every year. So on behalf of the school committee, this is recognizing for your dedication to and consistent support of the fundraising efforts supporting South Middle School and South Middle School Hall of Fame Gala. We truly appreciate all the great jobs you guys do, especially for our students, and they will also benefit from all the money that was raised this year. If Mr. Stapleton can let us know exactly how much was raised this year, it would be awesome, because I think he had plans to get books.
Yeah, if I could speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or you want me to do it right now?
Yes, you may.
Hi, Superintendent. I hope to get a chance to talk to you soon. We changed the focus of us. We were the South Gala. Now we call ourselves the South Opportunity and Achievement Program, or SOAP. SOAP is our new acronym. It makes it easier. And Superintendent, just to let you know, we're the only middle school in Plymouth County that has an academic Hall of Fame. Come to South, you walk down the hallway of fame, and we'll be putting up 15 more plaques this year. So we'll have about 60 at the end of the year. Thank you. This will be our fourth year of that. We also will be providing scholarships to graduating seniors. This year also, we're going to be giving $1,000 per grade to the English teachers. We have not had a library at South, an operating library, since 2004, so I'm going to beat that system. We're going to go $1,000 this year to English, next year maybe to math, then the year to science, whatever. I'm getting up there in years. This is 38 years to me. This is my 39th year, but I still got 10 years to go. Hopefully you're still here in 11 years. You can get me that emergency license so I can get that 50th year, but so I need to get there. This year we also have field trips planned. Hopefully we're going to get them coordinated. We've already spoken to people at Boston College. We want to take the kids to BC so they can see what a college atmosphere is like. We want to go to the Freedom Trail. We want to go to the Franklin Park Zoo, the aquarium, Vineyard Farms down in Bridgewater, West Bridgewater. We've spoken to the people down there. We want to attend there. So we got some field trips to do. We want to take part of. We also have student council expenses that we help to pay for. And, I mean, it's nothing worse than a kid not being able to pay to go to a dance. So I want to make sure we have the money so every kid goes to the dance. I've already coordinated that we'll have the food taken care of next year. I just want every kid to go. Nothing worse than being 11, 12, or 13 and thinking, I can't go to this dance because I can't pay the $5. And then if I go and all my friends have $5 or $10 to buy pizza or something, I don't have it. So we got to solve that problem. We did. This year, if you're around, on September 10th, I'm going to be doing something at South called 9-10-4-1. On September 10th this year, we have a new plaque we're going to put up. Two of our students, Anthony Palermo Jr. and Donald Fisher, passed away in Iraq back in 2006. And this year, there was a wooden plaque on the fence, but I saw that was falling apart. We got a new beautiful plaque to be made. It's already been made, a nice, I don't know what material that would be, metal, I guess. And we're going to be putting the plaque up. I know I've asked the mayor to come down and speak that day, and we're going to have some media there because we always say, once a dragon, always a dragon. And these two dragons who passed away defending us, keeping us safe so we can be here today, need to be remembered. Palermo and Fisher, great kids. And finally, I have a book right here called Humanity First. I just took part in a program this year, Do the Right Thing, which has been going on for many years. No surprise. The Massachusetts winners this year were two kids whose books, whose writing is in this book. It's in the Library of Congress now. We went down, we saw the White House, we saw the Supreme Court, we saw everything in D.C. We met the Kuwait ambassador, we spoke at the National Press Club, and again, all of Massachusetts. And it was two kids, not just Brockton kids, South kids, two kids from South. What Miss Thomas does and has created at South is a great atmosphere. Mr. Arsenal has been a great teacher for 20 plus years. Miss Gomez, I don't know what we would have done without her. She and I started this idea 3-4 years ago, and we've worked it. She'll be leaving us soon, taking a year leave of absence to go into private business. But what we have at South is something special. I could have retired 4 years ago. I'm coming back. I got 10 more years, 11 more years to go. Got to get it done. I want that hallway covered, every hallway with people who went to that school, who went on to become doctors, lawyers, bankers, investment people, whatever, successful people, and all they did, because it's something special to be a South Dragon. Okay, it's something special, and we want to make sure we know that, and we promote South. So I invite you down as soon as you get a chance. So thank you, Anna.
You're welcome. So I am going to hand over the citations. First, Joseph Arsenal. Hello. And then we have Amanda Gomez. And the big guy himself, James Stapleton. You're doing a great job.
If I could just finish, in answer to Anna's question, it's about $40,000.
All right, item number B is an update on teaching and learning, and tonight I was hoping to present you with an update on some of the amazing things happening around our district. All right, so good evening, everyone. I am so excited to be joining all of you at my first regular school committee meeting for the 24-25 school year. And to kick off this evening and this school year, I wanted to share with you some of the amazing discoveries I've made over the past few weeks as I've been exploring this incredible school system. And please know that the tremendous work that I'm about to highlight tonight only scrapes the surface of what has been happening around the district. So there is much, much more that I look forward to sharing with you at future meetings. And even just this evening, to be able to see these educators doing this amazing work. I'm just so appreciative to be here and to be part of this team. So my first week, I had the opportunity to see the incredible summer programming led by the Brockton Community Schools all across the district. Throughout the day, me and some of our fellow school committee members visited the Art Exploration Camp, Engineering Everywhere, STEM Exploration Camp, Step Up Study and Fun, Get Ready, Youth Aquatics, Mini Day Fun Camp, the Launch Academy, Activity Adventure Camp, Power Scholars, Bright Beginnings, and Smart Start Extended Day. We saw students working to program robots that were navigating an obstacle course. We tried on glasses that students had designed and created with 3D printers that were really quite amazing. We had the chance to check out the swimming and sports programs at Brockton High School. Students showed us the prosthetic hands that they had designed and made, and others had the chance to demonstrate the musical skills they've been working to master this summer. We also got to see a K-pop dance routine, which was really fun to watch. I want to thank Dr. DeBarros Montero and her amazing team, not only for welcoming us to this visit, but also for their extraordinary work organizing this enrichment programming for our students. The Brockton Public Schools Summer School Program, housed at Brockton High, enrolled 299 students this summer. Students took courses in math, science, English, and history, and despite the record heat, they showed up every day ready to learn. At the end of the summer, 15 seniors who had earned their credits to graduate participated in a ceremony held here in the Little Theater, which was packed with family, friends, and our dedicated staff ready to celebrate the class of 2024 and give them a warm send-off to their next adventure. I want to thank Bernadette Sullivan, Assistant Principal in Azure, for her leadership in making this program a success. She reported that students were engaged every time she went into the classroom this summer, and that's due in large part to the talented teachers who were invested in their students' success. So Ms. Sullivan and her team went the extra mile this summer to make graduation even more special, making sure each of our seniors had a celebration befitting their great accomplishment. I want to also acknowledge the Pathfinder program, which gives students the opportunity to spend 2 weeks at UMass Boston for college and career exploration activities. Each day features speakers who share career paths in a variety of fields, including education, architecture, biomedical science, law, sports, event planning, and more. One student loved the program so much, she actually reached out with a long thank you letter. There's a quote here about her experience, and now she's leading the charge to set up a bilingual council at Brockton High that will give students the chance to support one another, practice their English together, take part in community service, and learn more about educational opportunities in Brockton and beyond. I want to thank Dr. Kelly Jones, our Director of Bilingual Education, and the Pathfinder team for the work they're doing and the clear impact they're having on our students' lives. The Extended School Year program for middle and high school students with exceptionalities held their annual talent show on August 7th. Students sang, danced, told jokes, and displayed their art for an audience of peers, school staff, and several of our school committee members. This show is the highlight and culmination of an incredible 5 weeks of learning and engaging with social, academic, and community-based learning experiences. A huge shout out to our ESY students and their amazing educators. Attorney Kristen Wheeler of Strategies for Youth facilitated Juvenile Justice Jeopardy to nearly 75 students earlier this week. She was joined by our social emotional learning pack, law school interns, members of the Attorney General's office, a few of our adjustment counselors, Maura Mello, coordinator of school-based mental health services, and John Snellgrove, our director of social emotional learning. Juvenile Justice Jeopardy allows our children to learn their rights using a game show format, and funding for this initiative was secured via DESE's SEL grant, and it will continue through the upcoming school year at all of our middle schools and at Brockton High School. Our CEL PAC provided positive feedback after the program and were unanimous in their belief that this information is critical to providing our students a holistic education that will support them in leading healthy and safe lives. Our teachers and staff have had some amazing professional development opportunities this summer. 11 ELA teachers attended the Carnegie Learning National Institute in July, where they focused on AI, the science of reading, engagement strategies, supporting multilingual learners, and more. ELA staff also took part in the DESE Instructional Leadership Institute, which included research-based best practices around planning for change, and they will also be taking part in training around the Lenses on Learning curricular program. Over on the math side of the equation, thanks to a DESE grant, we were able to send 11 teachers to San Diego this summer, and those teachers are now sharing their learnings by facilitating summer workshops back here in Brockton, including sessions at Ashfield. We currently have 135 staff signed up. And finally, thanks to a Title II grant, 20 math teachers had the chance to take part in Carnegie Learning's Summer Content Academy at East, focusing on modeling and simplifying algebraic expressions, using variables, solving equations using manipulatives, and more. But there is more. Summer is ripe with professional development opportunities, so we'll be hosting 2 days of professional development for our educators focused on supporting our multilingual learners. Day 1 on August 19th will focus on general resources and supports for multilingual learners, and Day 2 on August 20th will focus on program-specific curriculum resources and instructional approaches. And on August 23rd, we'll be hosting a full day for our entire administrative team to help them be best prepared for the school year ahead. And this is all in preparation for the PD we will host when we welcome back teachers at the start of the school year. Some big events are right around the corner, including freshman orientation at BHS starting on Monday and the first days of school. Our BHS team is looking forward to seeing our incoming class of 2028 beginning on August 19th for 4 half days to get students acclimated to the high school environment. Orientation runs from the 19th to the 22nd from 8:45 a.m. to noon each day. This will be a great opportunity for our 9th graders to start off on the right foot, so I encourage everyone to attend. For those who aren't able to make it to orientation, please stay tuned for information about makeup days. And for freshmen who haven't RSVP'd but would like to attend, please reach out to the high school directly. We are also looking forward to welcoming back our students in grades 1 through 12 on September 4th and greeting our pre-K and kindergarten students on September 11th. This week and next also feature some important back-to-school prep dates for Brockton High School students in grades 10 through 12. If they haven't already, students can go to BHS Wednesday through Friday of this week from 9 to 1 to have new ID photos taken. Next week, again, every day from 9 to 1, those same students can go pick up their new IDs along with their district-issued laptops. And any 9th graders who aren't taking part in orientation next week may also go and pick up their laptops during those times next week as well. And finally, as part of my joining the Brockton Public Schools, I do want to meet as many BPS families as I can. So to help make that happen, I'll be hosting a series of family forums early in the school year. Each night will be dedicated to a different grade level. So on Monday, September 9th, the focus will be on elementary schools. On September 10th, we'll be focused on our middle schools. And on September 16th, there will be a chance to talk about items relating to the high school. Families from all schools are invited to attend the forum that's relevant to them and their students. And all of the forums will be held in the BHS Little Theater, and all will begin at 5:30 p.m. on their respective dates. I'm really looking forward to meeting more members of the community, and I just want to thank everyone again for welcoming me into the community. It has been an amazing experience so far, and I look forward to getting to know all of you this upcoming year.
So again, Doctor, thank you very much. Members of the committee, any questions for Doctor? Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tahiliani. Question. So I noticed they have the grades broken down to get the IDs. Are the students getting like a phone call, email? How are the students being notified?
I'm actually not sure. I know they've done a lot of outreach because as of today, we have over 300 students signed up for freshman orientation. So I know they've been doing outreach at the high school, but I can find out more about how they're getting that information out.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for Doctor? Love the idea of the community meetings here at the Little Theater too, so thank you very much. Now we'll go on to Agenda C. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, hey. I'm sorry. I missed.
No problem.
I gotta stop looking straight ahead.
So with school year ahead of you, like, I'm just curious, like, what is the low hanging fruit that you see for the BPS community?
Well, so far, what has been really nice about getting to know the community is all of the amazing things that are already happening. And that's why I did want to highlight some of those things and hope to highlight those items at the beginning of every meeting. These are the things that you guys have already been doing, that these educators have already been doing. And I think some of the low-hanging fruit is really starting to focus back on the teaching and learning and the instruction and all of the amazing things that are happening throughout the district. So that is kind of part of the low-hanging fruit, is just making sure that we're really starting the year on a positive note. I know that there have been a lot of challenges, but I see it as my job to make sure that we are addressing those challenges on the back end so that we can really elevate our students and our staff the way they're meant to be.
Any other members have any questions? Thank you again, Doctor. Next agenda item is 3C, items to refer to subcommittee. Are there any matters to go to subcommittee at this time? Ms. Azak?
Why don't we, if the committee's fine, why don't we schedule a final facilities meeting to see where we are? If everything's all set to start the school year, maybe the 27th, if the committee's fine with that, do just a facilities subcommittee meeting, get a final, IT's all set, phones are all set, because I'm seeing a lot of employees are asking questions. So I just want to make sure everyone's ready to start the school year in their new buildings. So maybe just a final quick update from operations, and then maybe Mr. Thompson, Ken Thompson, just have them come before us. And maybe IT, and then I believe, who was the other gentleman? Was it Mr. Campbell? They said it was, we have facilities moves, and we have the IT, and then I think Mr. Campbell. I'm not sure if that's what Mr. Thompson had mentioned at the last meeting.
Okay.
Just, all of us just report, we're all set, ready to move forward, everyone's situated. Or if we hit a hiccup or two, let us know. We're delayed a couple of weeks, but we're working on it. So just at least give the committee an update, because we had a lot of moves. Thank you.
Perfect.
So the 27th, and if the committee's fine, 6 o'clock, unless there's another meeting happening that evening?
I'm away that week, but definitely, yes, you can, by all means.
Okay.
Here?
Yes.
Ms. Vice Chair?
Superintendent, would you be able to give us an update on transportation on that same night? Can we piggyback off of the facilities?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, thank you. We can
Do a
schedule.
safety, traffic, and transportation subcommittee as well?
Yes.
So we'll have 2 subcommittee meetings. Is the committee fine starting at 5:30 or 6 o'clock? 5:30, does that work for everyone, just to make sure we have a quorum? Okay, then 5:30 will be facilities, and then safety, traffic, and transportation. Thank you.
Thank you.
The 27th. Right afterwards, I don't think we need more than an hour.
So 5:30, 6:30?
5:30, 6:30. Thank you.
And again, just to reiterate, we had a subcommittee prior to this meeting, so we're going to have another subcommittee meeting next Tuesday. What day is that, the 20th? 20th, right? Mr. Sullivan is the dean. You'll be acting on behalf of the vice chair. I'm sorry, is that at 5:30?
Yes, 5:30 and 6.
And then at 6 o'clock, we will call a special for the purpose of the handbooks, conclusion of the handbooks. Mr. Vice Chair?
I would suggest 5:30 to 6:30 and call a special at 6:30.
6:30. We could do
Because you
that.
still have
It's quite a few.
quite a few handbooks.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say 7 for the special, just to give an hour and a half, knowing that we took up the whole majority of it just for the high school, so.
So we'll change the special to 7 o'clock.
Yes, I'll call it at 7. Great. Any other matters relative to subcommittee? Seeing none, we'll move on. Agenda 4 is a consent agenda, which is A, B, C, D, E, and F. What is the will of the committee? Anybody want to take them collectively or take them, anybody want to separate those matters? What's the will of the committee? Mr. Sullivan?
Motion to accept agenda item A, B, C, D, E, and F.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Motion was made by Mr. Sullivan. It was properly seconded by Mrs. Sullivan. I do need to read into the record. A is the acceptance of donation, convenient MD to community schools of Brockton, the amount of $5,000 even. B is the approval of the minutes of the school choice public hearing meeting, May 21, 2024. C is the approval of the minutes, special school committee meeting, May 15, 2024. D is the approval of the minutes, regular school committee meeting, May 7, 2024. E is the acceptance of human resources notifications, appointments, certified, non-certified. And finally, F is the personnel actions, which is leaves of absence, resignations, and retirements. We have a motion. It was properly seconded. I'll call the roll. Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. So all those matters, A, B, C, D, E, and F, have passed unanimously. We will now go on to Agenda 5, which is unfinished business. Attorney Bresnahan, did you want to provide an update at this time? Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening. Yeah, the chair and the vice chair asked me to just give an update on the RSM audit. Our firm has been the primary point of contact with RSM. As you know, they've been working for many months on the audit. As of this morning, we got an update on the timeline in recent weeks. I know there's been a lot of questions and a lot of pressure from members of the committee and members of the community about timeline and when are we going to see the results. So I've been kind of asking those questions in turn to RSM and pressing them. As of this morning, the response that I've got is that they're close to wrapping everything up. They've finished all their interviews and received all their documents. They're writing the final report. Part of the deliverable that they promised to you is to have a final report that is going to be translated into many languages, which will take some time as well. They expect to be finished. They didn't give me a hard and fast date, and so I don't want to put that out there and set an expectation that won't be met, but they expect to be finished with the report, I'll say, in the coming days or weeks, but they did give me a hard and fast date by which they think that they can come and present to the committee on their findings. So they have a couple of scheduling conflicts, work travel for the principals that are involved in the report and that are going to be the best people to speak to it at the end of August and the first week of September. So they've asked about the week of September 9th, if there could be a date that week that we could pick and we could arrange for them to come and give a presentation of their findings at a committee meeting.
Number 9.
Yep.
Okay.
The week of the 9th. So,
Week of the 9th.
The chair and the vice chair can consult with members on scheduling and just, let me know what the will is and I can pass that along to them.
Thank you, Attorney.
Thank you.
Myself and the vice chair will work with all of you to make sure what date accommodates, and then we'll ask the individuals to come before us and give us an update. Thank you very much, Kevin. We will now go on to 6, new business. Again, we just had a 5 p.m. Policy Subcommittee meeting prior to this meeting. Some of the items that are listed here was sent back favorable vote earlier tonight. One matter that needs to be modified is the approval of BPS Student Parent Handbooks 2024-2025. The only matter that came out favorable was for Brockton High School. The other matters will be further discussed. They were postponed until next Tuesday, 5:30 to 6:30. Tim Sullivan from Ward 7 will be running that meeting. So relative to the approval of BPS Student Handbook, Brockton High School Handbook 2024-2025, what is the will of the committee?
To approve the Brockton High School handbook, as we discussed in subcommittee previous, with the changes that we discussed, that will be updated with them next Tuesday.
Before I take a second, just to let people know, Brockton High School Handbook on page 26 and 27 needed to have some revisions. What was stated and what was provided to us was the previous detailed information. It needs to have the most recent that was voted upon. And then also on the last page of the academic counseling, which will be incorporated into all handbooks, there was a typo saying Norwood High School needs to say Brockton High School, and there was also a date error stated August 15th, 2024. That will be modified. Deputy Wolder has assured us that it will also be translated into multiple languages at all. So what is before us is a motion. Is there a second relative to the motion?
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor of the Brockton High School, just the Brockton High School BPS Student Parent Handbook for the year 2024-2025, please raise your hand if you're in favor. Please raise your hand if you're opposed. That does pass unanimous. We also have approval of the policy DJE, procurement requirements, action requested. That did come out favorable from the subcommittee. Is there a motion relative to that matter? Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, motion to accept policy DJE as written.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Mrs. Sullivan, to accept the approval of the policy DJE procurement requirements as written. And again, there was some red line track changes in there. All in favor of accepting that, please raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. That does pass unanimous as well. And then finally, the approval of the policy, BGB policy adoption. Attorney Bresnahan, we were going to ask you a question, if you don't mind. If you could just come up to the podium since we're on TV. I'm going to refer it at this time to the vice chair who was chairing the subcommittee, but we just needed some legalese, some language relative to your advice on how we should incorporate something into the final draft. Vice Chair.
So members of the committee had concern, some questions regarding when the materials are actually sent to the committee, which is number one. Information items distributed within the agenda says Friday packet. We were just trying to get some clarifications. They wanted to receive it at least, 2 weeks prior, a week prior. So how would that, language, read with your interpretation? Because usually what we do, we get our packets on Friday, the Tuesday before our meetings. Sure. We received several handbooks and members don't have 2 or 3 days to review several handbooks with a lot of corrections, just to make sure that we make that appropriate decision on that. So
one thing, though, thank you, Ms. Vice Chair. One thing we had mentioned, and you weren't here and privy to it, if it said not less than blank business days, we thought at least I thought the business days would be beneficial to this committee because, again, you'd have the weekend as well.
Yeah, I think this is a internal school committee policy, so whatever the committee would like this to say, it's your discretion. I mean, if you feel like there's a minimum number of days you need to have materials prior to a meeting, that seems like a reasonable request. I think business days, makes sense. I don't know, I don't necessarily have an opinion on what the appropriate number of days is, because I know you all have very different lives and professional commitments and time to devote to this. So I think you all need to collectively decide what's that appropriate number, so that you're not, getting a lot of information last minute. If I'm understanding the question correctly, I think when I'm looking at this policy, though, it looks like there's three items set out here. The first one is the informational item, and then it seems to contemplate discussion by the policy subcommittee, and then following that, action by the full committee. So are you asking about just that first item?
correct.
So I think if you want to replace Friday packet with some minimum number of business days, that would seem to be appropriate to me.
Ms. Oliver, followed by Mr. Gomes, please.
I would suggest maybe, especially with all the packets we get, at least a week or 10 days prior business days to get all the information sent to us. I don't know what's the will of the committee.
Is that the form of a motion?
Yeah.
So it would be not less than 10 business days?
Not less than 10 days for the packets to be delivered to school committee members.
Second.
Just to clarify, thank you. When you say days, is business days or calendar days? Business days?
Business days.
Okay. So there is a motion made by Ms. Oliver. Is that on the motion? Because it was properly seconded by Mr. Gomes. On the motion, Ms. Azak, please.
It is on the motion. Should that include material that's presented to us during a school committee meeting? Like no materials to be given to us that night? Any presentations, things like that? I mean, again, finance, we're handed stuff the night of a meeting that we should have prior so we're prepared for the meeting and have our questions ready. So should that be part of that, or should that be completely separate?
I mean,
we don't want to complicate it, but we also want to allow ourselves time to review material.
I'll go to Vice Chair, followed by Mr. Gomes.
I believe that's why the yellow line is there for emergencies. So if there's an emergency that we have to act on, so you're not going to have that 10 business days. So that precludes that.
No, I'm talking about like some of the material's not going to be ready 10 business days before. Like when we were going through finance, it was ready maybe a few days before the meeting. As long
Some
as
of the
we're
budget
not-
stuff definitely wouldn't be 10 business days
Yeah.
before, you know.
Yeah,
it's just-
that's, I mean,
you're
there's
right.
stuff that's not going to be 10 business
Right.
days. It's just not going to fall into that, or presentations by the leadership team and things like that before a meeting, just so we have it to review it and be able to review the material rather than, there you go, here's the info, now ask us questions. And it's like, well, we're asking you these questions because you just handed us this material and it's the first time we're looking at it. So just to allow us time. I know that was a big pet peeve of mine and others, getting material during the meeting. Right as the meeting starts, we're handed a packet, review it. So I'm not sure if that should be part of this or a separate line item. Like material
Yeah.
reviewed during a school committee meeting, whether it's a subcommittee or a meeting, should be provided to the committee members prior to the meeting
So
for review.
this policy BGB, it only applies to the adoption of policies or the amendment of policies by the school committee. So your policy manual, your policy handbook, if you're going to adopt a new policy or amend an existing policy, this is the policy that governs that process. I think, Ms. Azak, what I hear you referring to seems to go beyond that, and you're talking about other things that may come up in the regular course of your business as school committee. That wouldn't be covered by this policy. I don't know if there's another policy that would cover that. My guess is there probably isn't, just based on my knowledge of school committee policies generally. Under the open meeting law, you have up until 48 hours before the meeting to post the agenda. And, often that agenda is being developed right up to the last minute. So I think to try to impose any lengthy requirement on materials for regular school committee meetings may be difficult and may kind of stymie your ability to do business on the pace that you do it. But I think you raise a fair point about needing time to digest information. And so I think in any given situation, if the committee feels like we just got this, we haven't had enough time to digest it, to do what's being asked of us at a given meeting, the committee always has the option to table the item to a future meeting. I'd caution you against setting a long timeline for advance notice for things that might become impractical, as these things kind of tend to happen on a week-by-week basis.
Mr. Gomes, followed by Ms. Oliver, please.
That's where I was a bit confused because my question was going to be that, is this just for policies that we're going to adopt or amend? But to Mr. Isaac's point, if we could, I don't know, have some sort of language somewhere that says, if possible, any document, at least things that we need to vote on, make a decision on that, later on could have an impact on the things that we're doing, to have those in advance. If it's, for instance, a presentation or things that we don't have to vote on, we just need to sit here, observe, and then ask questions, that's fine. We can do it the same day. If we don't receive a copy, that's okay. But if it's something packaged like this, financial statements, the budget, those, if we could get those ahead of time when possible, that would be greatly appreciated. I remember, these past few months, everything we're getting is the day of the meeting, or like Friday to Tuesday, and it's a whole stack of paper with numbers and listings, and it's just not practical to review everything, come in here, with digested information to make effective decisions. So if we could, implement that somehow, where if it's something that we as the committee have to vote on, if it's something that we have to amend, even if it's not policy, that we have ample time to review the documentations.
Just on that, Attorney Bresnahan, through you, we have another subcommittee next Tuesday. So if we passed, there's a motion on the floor properly second, so we have to vote on it soon, 10 business days. Could we then do another policy to address what Mr. Gomes said? Because I concur with what you're saying. If it's a voting matter, we need it.
Yes.
Is there some, I don't know, Kevin, legally, is that a standalone or is that incorporated into something?
I don't think I can take a look at the policy manual, but you likely don't have a policy that covers any kind of notice requirement like that already.
Okay.
Typically, that's just covered by kind of the practicalities of the open meeting law. So I think if you wanted to explore creating some type of a policy like that, I think you'd probably be writing a new policy. But I can look and see if there's any existing policy that would touch on that.
So could we at least do like 5 days, 5 business days? Because I know, for instance, if we know we're having a meeting this Tuesday, we scheduled it probably the previous meeting, which would give us enough time to get the documentation. So if, for instance, we know we're going to have a meeting next week, after this, could they arrange those documentations to be sent to us ASAP? If, let's say, for the next meeting we're going to receive a new package, like after this meeting, try to get those documents ready so they're sent to us ASAP so we can review them. And then the other thing is, for instance, can we receive documents? We have a meeting on the 20th, right? And then let's say we're going to have a meeting the following week. Can we receive documents for the following week in the package going out this week? Would that cause any issues? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I mean, there's no legal issues in you receiving documents anytime, well ahead of time. I think the concern I just want to caution you about is kind of a practical one, that if you create a policy that effectively prohibits you from taking action on something unless you receive it, at name the number of days in advance, then there may be situations where that frustrates your ability to get things done. I think there's two competing concerns here. It's not wanting to tie your hands, but also wanting to ensure you're getting enough time. And I think policy language that sets a hard and fast rule like that might be difficult. I'm not aware of other committees that have something like that, but we could certainly talk about if there's a way to get it done.
Okay. I guess from my standpoint is that for the policy subcommittee, for policies and, adoption and amendment, I would say 10 business days. But when it comes to regular school committee meeting, the package, if we could come to an understanding, so we don't have to put it in writing, because then it'll, tie our hands, to have an understanding that if possible, if we could have those at least 5 business days prior.
So we have a motion that was properly seconded, so we would have to
Okay.
take that as a secondary matter. So there was any other matters on the motion?
Just on the motion.
Yes.
I know we're going to strike Friday. I mean, it's just a suggestion. I can always remove my first motion, but it could be like 10 calendar days, not including the weekend, no later than Thursday prior to the meeting, following the next week. Like, we usually get our packets on Friday.
Yep.
How we move it from Friday to Thursday? Like, we can't get anything later than Thursday evening.
So there would be no calendar or business days, it would just be changing Friday to Thursday?
Friday to Thursday, but within the 10 days, but no later than Thursday evening.
Okay. So you would strike the word no less than, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it would be best if you could withdraw your original motion and your second, and then we could start fresh. Mr. Vice Chair.
If we move that to Thursday, please just be aware that we have to post our meetings on that Thursday.
Yes.
So that basically
As of the 48-hour window.
increases the 48-hour window.
Have you withdrawn your motion yet?
I have not.
Okay, so we're on the motion, so we can only talk about the motion. Mr. Vega, please, followed by Ms. Azak.
I think it's good that we're exploring all these possibilities, but as long as we keep the line about emergency situations in place for either one of the policies we're discussing, and just say at the vote of the committee to deem it emergency or not, that way it discourages folks from handing this stuff at the last minute because they know it can only be viewed on a vote. And if we determine it's emergency in the vote, we do it. Otherwise, we stick to whatever date timeline we want. Right?
Thank you, Mr. Vega. Ms. Azak on the motion?
Thank you. We're trying to set this.
Yes.
Can we ask Mrs. Campbell? I mean, Mrs. Campbell is the one that actually puts this together.
Of course.
Goes
Of course you
ahead
can
and
ask her.
has to post this.
Of course.
And I know many times people are not getting her the information on time because I'll be looking for it. So it's really to get things to her in a timely manner. And I know a lot of times it's all last minute getting to her. So maybe look to her for some recommendations. I hate to put you on the spot, Mrs. Campbell, but you are the one that puts our agendas together. And she hears our frustrations. I know she hears my frustrations, but I'm like, okay, we need more info and we need it sooner. So what would you recommend, Mrs. Campbell, where you're putting this together? Go by a specific, because certain days, depending if there's a holiday, it's going to be business days, not including holidays, obviously. But do you have any recommendations? Sorry to put you on the spot. Green light. Thank you, Mrs. Campbell.
I would recommend working along with the superintendent and cabinet because they are the ones that are finalizing the agendas with the information and reaching out to people. Sometimes people are out sick, they're out for bereavement, some people are not available to gather that information to finalize. So sometimes we do face some challenges to get stuff done, but I think working along with the superintendent and cabinet that we can start pushing everyone to say, we're going to set our deadline to Wednesday, and that way by Thursday morning, we're going to say we're going to finalize it, and then just leave it up to them to provide that information to us, and if they don't, we can put it on to the next agenda. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you, because I know Mr. Vega had asked a question. Years ago, we used to get the digital packet. I think we do sometimes too. I know a lot of us like the paper packet, because I know I like to go flip through it on the weekend,
But
Friday.
we're just...
We'll go back to that, so yeah.
Yeah, again, that could be a standalone as well, but
Okay.
there is a motion that was made by Ms. Oliver, properly seconded by Mr. Gomes. What is the will of the committee at this time? I'll call the roll, and again, if we could just reiterate it again, Anna, your motion.
The motion to the information items distribution with agenda to be delivered to school committee members within 10 days of business day, 10 business days prior to the meeting.
Well, then that's an amendment. No, we can do that. She would just have to withdraw it and then restate it, and you'd have to withdraw yours. But I mean, let's get it right now. Did you want to do that? Ms. Oliver?
My recommendation is just 10 days, not 10 business days.
10
To
calendar days as opposed to
calendar
business days?
versus-
Calendar days. Do you want me to take my motion back?
I would. Let's just start clean. Again, would you withdraw yours?
I'll withdraw
Would
it.
you withdraw your second? So there is no motion on the floor right now. Ms. Oliver, the floor is yours.
Okay, let's try one more time. Requesting information item distribution with agenda to all school committee members within 10 calendar days, and no later than Thursday prior to the following meeting.
Perfect.
Second.
Okay. Motion was made. It was probably second. It was made by Ms. Oliver, probably second by Mr. Gomes. On the motion, Mrs. Sullivan?
But Mrs. Campbell just said that we should work with the superintendent and the executive team for even place what time limits we're going to put on it. I thought that's what Mrs. Campbell said. So, the
Superintendent?
agenda, we can't get 10 days before.
I think that was just for the agenda and the materials that go with the agenda. I think the 10 days is for the policies only. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that correct?
It should state that then. She should state that then, what it's for.
So we have a motion made by Ms. Oliver, and it is, again, it is
Just for
only...
policy?
Yes, I mean, that's what came out. So it is only for policy, which was, again, approval of the policy, BGB policy adoption. There's a motion on the floor by Ms. Oliver. It's properly seconded by Mr. Gomes. All in favor of that, please raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. That does pass unanimously. And again, just to go back to Mr. Gomes on his issue and Ms. Azak on the other issue, if we as a collective body wanted to come up with just an agreement, it doesn't have to be a formalized policy, I believe that's what you said, Attorney Bresnahan, we could do that to address all your issues. Again, we have another subcommittee next week, so we could always continue and add that onto an agenda next week to talk about it. Okay? So if you want to add anything like that to the subcommittee, please just work with Mr. Sullivan for next week's meeting. Okay. That concludes the number 6. We now have, and I know the chief couldn't make it tonight, but I know we have a police liaison. So number 7 is school safety and security. Officer, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you very much. Thanks for what you do, too.
So, good evening, everyone. I'm Officer Mendez, Brockton School Police. I just want to touch base on a couple things. I know last week Lieutenant covered some safety report with you guys. Nothing different has changed, but so we're starting to prep and plan for the start of the school year this year, which we're very excited about and eager. We also have been in talks with the principals for any specific needs they feel they may need. We know with the start of the school year, there are many moving parts to it, but we're there to support them in anything they need. We're also looking to conduct some access control training with the metal detectors. I'm not sure on a date or anything with that, but we know we are going to refresh them with anything they need when it comes to metal detectors. We're eagerly anticipating the safety director's arrival and collaborating with him and working with him. I think it's going to be a great collaboration. And we also recently conducted our first round of active shooter enhancements. We did that with Lieutenant over the weekends, and it was great training, refresh everyone on. And then finally, I'd like to take the time to promote the First Responders Jamboree. It's this weekend, and it's celebration of first responders with Brocktonians, including the Brockton School Police, Brockton Police, Brockton Fire, Brewster Ambulance, and many others, to hang out, touch the emergency trucks, eat great food, play games, face painting, hopefully weather permitting. The state police, normally they touch down their chopper, their helicopter down on the field. It's a great event, and this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that's at the fairgrounds, and it is free for anyone. So that's I've been a part of that for 2 years, and it's a great. It's awesome to see the kids smiling and everyone, and it brings community together. So,
Thank you, Officer, for your update. Any members of the committee have any update on that? Ms. Azak, followed by Mr. Vega, please.
Thank you, Officer Mendez. Just a reminder, I have the backpacks. So
Yes.
someone's supposed to be picking them up, so if they can coordinate with me.
Okay.
I know
Yeah.
we were, I had some, and I mentioned to the chief, so good luck on Saturday. I'll try to stop by, but thank you. It's a wonderful event. It's a great way to connect with our students and our families. It's on a totally different level, so it's always a wonderful time there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Azak. Mr. Vega, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez, for being here tonight. This sounds like an excellent event. My only question is, how could a school committee member from Ward 1, perhaps, find his way onto the helicopter?
That you'd have to talk to the state police about. But I will say we are looking for volunteers for the dunk tank, Mr. Rodriguez or anyone. So
That was good.
I had the sergeant's test that day, so it won't make it.
Any other questions for the officer? Again, on behalf of all of us here, thank you for what you do each and every day.
thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it. Thank you, guys.
Agenda 8 is executive session, and before we go to it, I just need to read into the record, there's two matters. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee, Brockton Educational Paraprofessionals Association, Local 888 SEIU, Brockton Food Services Association. The second matter is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to discuss strategy in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel. Is there a motion to go into executive session, please?
Motion to go into executive session.
Ms. Azak made a motion. Mr. Sullivan, you second that motion? I will now formally call the roll. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Vice Chair? Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. We will be going into formal executive session. We will not, and I'll say not, come back into open session. Attorney Bresnahan is here. I'm not sure what room we're going into, Mrs. Campbell,
That one.
for executive session? Down that way. Okay. All right. Well, again, have a good evening. For
Any,
those that are here.
Mayor, announcements, I know it's listed after the executive session, but if anybody wants to make any announcements.
Executive session. Kevin, Attorney Bresnahan, if I'm on Agenda 8, how do we get to Agenda 9?
No.
Remove my motion to go into,
Yeah, we already did the roll.
You can come back out and then go back in after you.
Come back in?
You could return to open session if you want to do announcements and then re-enter executive session.
He just confused me.
All right, let's pretend we're just coming back. Is that what you're saying?
No, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. Kevin, if you could just explain that a little further. So we did a motion, we did a roll call, we took the vote to go in executive session, the chair declared we're not coming back in open session, but how do we do an announcement section? If you could just explain that.
I think your only option would be to vote to come back to open session.
Okay.
And do your announcements, then re-vote to go into executive session.
So go into executive session and come back in? Go back?
That's the only way that you could do it at this point.
Okay.
Or the announcements can wait.
Okay.
That's the other option.
Okay. So we're on agenda 8, so we will go into executive session, but I've already declared we're not coming back in. Should I take that out?
I think, given how quickly the question was raised, I think if you take a vote to exit executive session and return to open session, do your announcements, then you could redo your announcement for executive session, and we could hold the executive session.
Okay, so withdraw.
I think that's your option, or you just have to go into executive session and postpone the announcements.
So what he did is he read the info.
No, I can't. We've already done it.
With the roll call, yes. And he knows.
So why don't we go into executive session, and then we'll come back, okay?
I would, no.
Just explain it to me again. I don't understand what you're saying. So withdraw the executive session roll call, go to agenda 9, and then go back to 8?
Is the question, what is the question? You'd like to make some announcements now as
Somebody
part
has
of the
asked
meeting?
us to go to agenda 9, which is stated as announcements, but we're only on agenda 8 to go into executive session.
And
We've already taken a...
Yes, and you've declared you're not returning.
Correct, and we've already taken the roll call to go in.
So the most conservative thing to do would be to go into executive session and don't return.
Okay.
And the announcements will have to wait.
Until next Tuesday. Okay, so we'll do that for next Tuesday. That will be listed on the agenda. Thank you. That was confusing. I never faced that one before. So again, we will not be coming back in. We're going to executive session now. Thank you, everybody.